It's Super Videos back at you for another comic book issue review. This is going to be my review for issue 162 of The Walking Dead, part 6 of The Whisperer War. So this is on paper the last part of The Whisperer War, but as we saw in the actual issue, the Whisperer War arc may be over, but the arc that comes after is very much related to the Whisperer War. So even though the Whisperer War is done, the actual war with the Whisperers is not over yet. So to get to the review, we start the issue with Negan burying Lucille, the baseball bat. Of course, Negan is talking to the baseball bat as if it's his wife. Of course, from Negan's backstory, we do know that Negan named the baseball bat Lucille because of his wife, because his wife had cancer and died. And in that backstory, we saw that he couldn't put down his wife, so someone else did it. And he didn't really have time to bury his wife. So here he is, in a way, saying his goodbyes to his wife, even though it's the baseball bat. But in reality, Negan, in his mind, is saying goodbye to his wife. Now, I never thought I would be this emotional over something Negan would say, but they did a very great job with the backstory and how everything planned out in the backstory coming to this issue. And because of that, I did feel compassionate towards Negan. In this particular scene, Negan wasn't the person who murdered Glenn to me. He was just another survivor. And I love how Robert Kirkman's writing did that. I love how they planted the seeds so that we would feel this compassion towards Negan at this point. But even when Negan is very sad and he is very emotional, he finds a way to crack jokes. There's two parts. One part where he's basically saying, I hope you're in heaven and I hope you find people to screw you over and over again. That was a typical thing Negan would say, and I thought that was very funny. And even at another point, he says, I'm sorry I named a stupid baseball bat after you. So even at times where Negan is very emotional and it's sad for him, he finds a way to crack jokes, and that's what I love about Negan. But going from there, we have this great splash page. I love this page with Negan in front of the grave. In the background, there's Dwight saying, we will leave you behind, but Negan says, I'll catch up. Now, I thought that was very weird because I'm pretty sure Rick told Dwight not to let Negan out of his sight. So what is Dwight thinking at this point, leaving Negan behind? Of course, Dwight doesn't know Negan is changed or anything like that. As far as Dwight's concerned, Negan can very well turn around and run away and come back and do something that's going to bite him in the ass. So I thought that was a bad move on Dwight's part. But that whole sequence with Negan in front of the grave and saying goodbyes to Lucille, the baseball bat / his wife, is very emotional, and I love that. Then going from there, we have the members of the kingdom coming with horses to help the hilltop. Of course, they don't know that the hilltop has been hit pretty bad and it's basically destroyed. But they return and they find what has happened. And there's another splash page. I love these splash pages in this issue where the hilltop is on fire and they're looking at it from afar and they see everything is destroyed. And I just love this picture. They realize that the survivors are actually there. They survived and that the community may be gone, but the people still survived. So that was cool. And then we have this conversation between these people with Maggie. And I love how Maggie is not blaming them. She understands that this is war and that there's going to be casualties and that she is just glad that they're alive. And she even makes a point saying, just like we were able to rebuild Alexandria after all that war, we can rebuild the hilltop and make it better after the Whisperer War is over. And I just thought that was a very cool way to kind of show the parallel between these two things. Now, I'm pretty sure they're not gonna repeat the storyline and recycle it and have the hilltop be rebuilt again and things like that. I think the hilltop is gone completely, but I just loved that conversation between one of the members of the kingdom and Maggie. And then there's another great conversation between Lydia and Carl, where they're basically talking to each other about being good, being bad, being part of a good community, being part of a bad community, and the things that they've done. Lydia comes out and says that if you find out what I have done, you're going to hate me. And then Carl says, I can say the same thing to you, and that I've done some horrible things as well to survive. But at the end of the day, we're doing these things so that we survive, so that we don't have to do those things again. And I just love that conversation. And it helps to move both Carl and Lydia's story forward. The dialogue was very well written. Then, of course, Lydia ends it with saying, just shut up and hold me, Carl. So that was cool as well. And then going from there, we have the Whispers carrying Beta. Beta saying that we need to go faster, but the other Whispers saying that you're not in the condition to do so. But of course, Beta being the leader, he forces them to go faster. And he has a plan to unleash this mega herd on the group, which he does at the end of the issue. But I just love the way that they have built up on Beta's character so fast. Of course, the Whisperers started with having Alpha as the leader, so seeing that transition between Alpha being leader and Beta being leader was great in my opinion. And now that we are at the end of the Whisperer War, we see that Beta has just the same level of respect and leadership that Alpha did, if not more, just about the same, which is very cool. And then going from there, we have this conversation between Andrea and Rick is saying how he's soft and everything, and of course Andrea reminds him that there is this beast in Rick that can be unleashed at any moment, so that was cool. But there's a moment where Andrea is saying you killed 2 people just like that, and then Rick stops her saying that they're still people. So we can see that Rick still has this humanity in him, so he's not too far gone. He is at a point where he understands what needs to be done, but he doesn't feel good about it. He doesn't like killing, but he will kill if he has to. So I love that. Then we have Eugene coming back with all the ammunition. Of course, he's worked on it overnight. He's been riding towards the Alexandria safe zone overnight as well. So he's exhausted. He passes out. I just love how they have redeemed Eugene's character, because at this point, Eugene is a major asset to the community. Especially at this point, because the mega herd is coming towards them, this amount of ammunition is going to be very helpful. It's going to go a long way into helping them triumph in this new conflict that's rising. So then, of course, we have Dwight and the others coming back. Negan is with them. He's in the background. So he did come back with them. He didn't just stay there. So we know Negan is at Alexandria at the moment. But of course, we have Dwight and the others coming back. We have a conversation between Rick and Dwight, where Rick basically asks Dwight what happened. And then Dwight says, we were successful and everything, but Rick finds out that there's way more walkers than Dwight and the other soldiers saw, and that they're going to be attacking. So Rick immediately understands the threat and he's diving into action, which I love. Dwight is there confused, but I think when Dwight finds out what's happening, he's going to understand how miscalculated their attack was and how wrong they were in thinking that they won. But then going from there, we have this other page with an ocean of walkers, which is very cool. We can actually see from this picture alone how screwed up Alexandria is. In this picture that I have here, you can see in the background that tower, that's Alexandria. See the amount of walkers that's coming towards Alexandria. Alexandrians are gonna be finding it very difficult to keep this mega herd out. This is not like No Way Out. This is 3 times the amount of walkers that were there during No Way Out. So Rick and the others are gonna have to do a lot to survive. And in my opinion, I don't think everyone is gonna survive. I think there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna die in the next couple issues. This amount of walkers is not easy to deal with. So it's gonna be very great to see how they plan to deal with it and the casualties that are gonna be there in the process. And then the issue, of course, ends with this cliffhanger with Beta saying, our war is over, let the dead finish what we have started. So, of course, the next issue, we're going to see the walkers attack, the herd attack Alexandria, and we're going to see how Alexandrians are going to deal with that. I was surprised that Beta didn't die in this issue. I was sure that we were going to see the end of Beta and Whispers at the end of this issue. I knew that there's going to be the threat of the walkers, but I thought that at least Beta was gonna die. It was surprising to me that they didn't kill Beta off. But in terms of the Whisper War coming to an end, I expected a bit more. The issue felt a bit flat. There was a lot of great dialogue, there was a lot of great character development, but in terms of a war coming to an end and a conflict ending, I felt like it was a bit flat, so I wanted to see a bit more. I didn't really enjoy this issue as much as I would have. I still give the issue in terms of rankings a low grade rating, so it wasn't bad, but there was a lot of things that I wanted to see that I didn't get to see. Now, of course, we may see a continuation of this war in the next arc. So just like All Out War had part 1, part 2, we may see the Whisper War having 2 parts as well. Now, the names may not be part 1 and part 2, but it still may be very much related. And that may be the reason they left this war at a point where it's not really done. There's a lot of loose ends. So if that's the case, then I understand. But if it's not, then I felt like they could have done a lot more finishing the war. But overall, I did really enjoy the issue. I thought I'll enjoy it more, but it was great regardless. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching. I'll be back for another video.